Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Habs Tonight. It has been a hot minute since I've personally been on here, but Adrian, this is fun to jump on with you, man. This is your first interview, first player interview. You've I think over a year now, you've been saying, if you guys get Mike Weaver, like, can I do the interview, please? And here it is. It's happening right now. So
yeah, pretty excited about that. Fellow Bramptonian Mike Weaver, and happy to have him on.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's do exactly that. So, Adrian, take it away. Go for it, man.
Mike,
don't be shy. Don't be shy. Bring him on.
Sorry, guys. No pressure. Sorry, I don't see the screen.
Yeah, here he comes. Well, he's on now. So here he comes.
Oh,
Mike Weaver.
Sorry, guys. Mike Weaver. Sorry.
There he is. There he is.
Awesome. I finally made it.
I apologize. No pressure there, but
I'm sorry. I put the pressure all on Adrian. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm like, you're going to do the intro. You're good with it, right? He's like, what? Hang on. No. So,
oh, geez.
A fellow B-towner.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, let's get you guys beside each other. There we go. That's much better. So, again, welcome, Mike. Thanks for doing this. We've been trying to set this up for a little while, so we appreciate you taking the time, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Always love one. That was by far my favorite team to play for. Everybody should play for the Montreal Canadiens. It's one of the most amazing experience that I had in my whole career. So
that's amazing. So Mike, I wanted to go into this here, but how has post-retirement been, and where do you reside now? I know you were saying earlier your post-retirement's been pretty good. So could you maybe give us a little bit of input on that?
Well, I ended up staying an extra year in Montreal. So I stayed, I was in Westmount and then moved back to the Toronto area. So I was there just hanging out and had my hockey school. While I was playing, I really focused on after the game, and I have my coaching platform called CoachThem.com. It's been remarkable. We have about 15,000 coaches on there, and we allow coaches to digitally create their drills, and they're able to share their practices, staying organized. So I got my hockey school that's pretty cool called Defense First. I got people coming from all over the world, so I'm able to help with player development, just teaching the kids the game and the thinking part of the game. But then I also have my coaching platform that's pretty cool that I'm able to teach help coaches teach the kids. So I'm able to basically deal with the kids and the future of hockey, and then also the coaches that are teaching our future.
That's awesome. So how long have you been doing that? Was it like right after you retired, or when exactly did you start that project?
Well, I went to school in Michigan State, and I honestly, one of the most important things as a player is family, and then secondly is your education, and then third is hockey. And a lot of kids nowadays, they have it completely reversed, because at some point, whether you play in 600 games like myself or one game or no games, a lot of people put all their eggs in one basket and they don't really focus on the future. So that's when I developed my hockey school. I felt it very tedious to go and draw drills. So I was able to, with my background in telecommunication, I got a minor in virtual reality, software development, web design from school. While everybody was on the plane, they're losing money at the poker table, I was designing websites for local businesses. So inch.com, I developed it's a college hockey website. I was knocking on the doors of local businesses, asking them if they wanted their website done. So NHL player going and designing websites for local businesses was pretty cool. But then with my hockey school, I found it tedious for me to go and draw drills and plan practices. So that's why I put the team together, and that's kind of how I was able to transition. It's one of the toughest things. A lot of the fans don't realize the what you go through as far as withdrawals from the game of hockey. We play with for the fans, but we play for ourselves, and we play for the guys on our team, and it's blood, sweat, and tears. It's a very emotional journey after. And the one thing that I'm very thankful for is I play with the Montreal Canadiens alumni tour. So I'm able to go and raise money for local charities, and we're able to get a couple of guys together, and we're able to play against local teams, which is really cool. And it's kind of like we're the Globetrotters. But
That's awesome.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Very nice. We just wanted to get back in this section here, but I was wondering if you can take us through your journey, your hockey journey over the years, and yeah, we'd like to hear that story.
Okay, it's pretty
long story.
Well,
That's okay.
I'll do a Cliff Notes version of this. Okay, so a lot of the teams I played for don't exist anymore. So Brampton Maroons, that doesn't exist anymore. Then I went to Chinguacousy. That doesn't exist. Then from there, I went to Richmond Hill Vaughan Kings, which they kind of exist. They were together. Now they're separate. But they ended up, in order for me to get on their team, they had to put the boundaries, and they changed it going right around my house. And to this day, the boundaries are going around my house. So we ended up winning the All Ontarios that year, which was really cool. From there, Thornhill Islanders, Junior A Tier 2, I played as an underager, and that doesn't exist. And then Bramley Blues, that doesn't exist. And then we ended up, I was undrafted. I went to Michigan State. Well, that exists. Then I was undrafted. I signed with Atlanta Thrashers, which doesn't exist. And the minor league team that I played for, Orlando Solar Bears, it kind of exists, but it was in the old IHL, International Hockey League, which was comparable to the AHL. The IHL doesn't exist anymore, but now the Orlando Solar Bears is now an East Coast team, not a high level team. So then from there, I went to, it was LA Kings for 2 years, St. Louis Blues for 2 years, Vancouver Canucks for 1, and then went to Florida Panthers for 4, and then got traded. Vanek got traded, and then I think I was a day before or day after, and they're just like, who is this Weaver kid? So I was an unknown. They're all pumped about Vanek, and I was just the new guy, and I ended up getting in there. And I'm telling you, one of my first games was, I wasn't supposed to play on the road trip, the first road trip. It was Coyotes, and I remember going out there. I got scored on my first shift. I was doing these dink plays that Terrian had, and I was just like, just trying to do dink net or boards or whatever. I don't even know. But I ended up getting scored. But that was by far the hardest shift of my whole entire life. That whole entire game, I've never been so tired. I felt the whole weight of Montreal Canadiens fans on my back. And I think that's one thing that you play in these storied organizations, and you just feel all the traditions, and I loved it. I thrived in it. I think that was probably one of the best, the coolest things I was able to thrive in the Canadiens. It was crazy. Like, I always wondered, like, when that point in time, are you going to answer the bell or are you not? And like, I played a little bit of playoffs. I won 2 championships with Chicago Wolves and Orlando Solar Bears, but I played I played 1 round with the Florida Panthers against Devils. But being in Montreal, it's a different animal, and it was just kind of crazy. I didn't know what to expect, if I was going to be able to answer that bell. And after getting into it, I just loved it. I love the media. I hung out with a couple of the media people, but everybody was so scared of the media. They're like, oh my God, the media, they're going to say something wrong and blah, blah, blah. I just enjoyed it. I embraced the media because, like, I don't think I really gave any generic answers. I just tried to be unique and really tell exactly, not everything that's going on, but just be honest with everything. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, well, that sounds like another co-host. Well, I told you off camera before we started that this is the house that Dale built. So Dale Weiss, your former teammate there, and he wasn't shy either with the media, and that's why he kind of wanted to create this show, was to create an outlet for players like yourselves to come and tell the stories behind the scenes that you don't hear as much. So is there any, we have a lot of questions for you, but is there any Dale Weiss stories that you have off the top of your head?
Well, he was always the guy that was goofing around. I was trying to figure out something. To be honest, I don't have a story actually. Just
yeah, put you on the spot a little
I
bit,
do have a Terrian story I could tell you guys.
Yes, we do have some folks that want to hear that. So
yes, oh please,
yeah, right here we have this comment from.
Yeah, so it's when I was with. So a lot of people don't realize the year I played for Vancouver, I ended up signing with Pittsburgh Penguins, and when I went there, I just killed training camp. I was just awesome. I even scored on a breakaway. And they have a penalty in training camp. You have one guy at the red line and a guy chasing you from the blue line. And I ended up scoring top shelf. I don't even know how I raised the puck. I must have probably hit something on the ice and went up because I can't really raise the puck. But it was pretty cool. So like I was rocking it. Like I ended up I was playing Monkey in the Middle with Sid and Colby Armstrong. It was after practice. I thought it was really cool. Like I probably did my best training camp ever. So I'm like, oh, for sure. Like last cut. They called me in and I'm walking. Sid's like, oh yeah, you for sure you made it. So I walk in there, sitting in there, there's Terrian and then there's Ray Sherrill, the GM. So I walk in and all of a sudden Terrian's just like, I wish I had a good French accent, but I don't. But he's just like, Mike, we're gonna send you down. We're gonna keep our Nasruddin. The guy has been with him for the whole time. I guess they've always utilized this Nasruddin, their defenseman. So, anyways, I ended up getting put on waivers. Ray Sherrill called my agent saying I let Terrian make the decision. I wanted you, but that's how that. Anyways, I ended up getting picked up on waivers. Went to Vancouver. Terrian gets fired a month later. Nasruddin goes down. Pittsburgh wins the cup. So all of a sudden, I get traded to Montreal. First guy that called was Bergevin. He's like, Weave. He's just like, I've been trying to get you for a couple years. Now we got you. Now we got the dream. And then all of a sudden, Terrian calls me, and he's like, hey, Mike, welcome. And I'm like, well, last time we talked, you were putting me on waivers. But yeah, so like even like it's funny, like I didn't know that I had the balls to actually say that to like a head coach or my new coach coming out. I just kind of came out and said it because I am pretty upfront and honest with my thoughts. So, anyways, yeah, it's funny that within a month, Terrian was calling me Le Dream. In the dressing room, so it was pretty funny. Yeah.
What a turnaround, eh? Like just like the way the world works, man. We'll never figure it out, but that's
well. I'll tell you though, it's funny. So the next year when I resigned, like in playoffs, everybody was coming up to me. All the guys are like, "Oh my God, Mike! I've never seen somebody get so many shot blocking assists ever." Like I would block a shot, and then our guys would go down the whole entire ice end to end and score. So I think I got like 10 points in playoffs, and I'm like, I'm not doing. I ended up scoring, I think, one goal or whatever, but it was crazy. But all of a sudden, the next year I didn't get that many points, and they're like asking me, they're like, Mike, you like what's going on? We need more offense from defenseman. I told him, I'm like, hey, well, to go tell the guys go end to end next time I block a shot. So like it was hilarious. Like I'm like, you want more offense from a guy that in playoffs when I was in Florida, I scored on Brodeur and he got pulled. And I'm pretty sure the reason is just like if Mike Weaver could score on you, Marty, you're getting friggin'
so this is that goal.
I think that's
We were ready for it, Mike. We were going to ask you about it. So here it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yes. I remember that. Oh God. Yeah.
What was that like to have Marty pulled like that? Come on.
That must have been the best feeling in the world, man.
Yeah, until I started thinking about it, that's the reason why he got pulled is because of that. It was me that scored on him. Yeah, it was really cool. Obviously, I always like to say I remember every one of my goal. So
that's very awesome. I wanted to Deeks.
I was just going to say real quick, if I may, just because you mentioned the shot block. You mentioned the shot block that led to a goal. Well, that led to Dale's goal. So here's that one too, because thanks to Mike Weaver on this one for the assist, and then Danny Briere up to Dale. But we watched that replay before bringing you on, man. We researched that one for sure.
That was probably the most amazing playoffs was when we beat Boston in Boston, Game 7. That was like I just got chills. All my arm just got all chills. It was. Obviously, that was our Stanley Cup, and it was, God, every day I think about that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that series is etched in our brains forever, man. And I got to tell my brother, too, because my brother was a fan of yours, and, like, he always appreciated the guys that were relatable, like yourself and Dale, like guys that had personality and just did the job right. And you were one of them, so I just had to throw that out there. But that run was something else, man. Is there anything else about, just before Adrian jumps into his next question, about the 2014 run? Like Dale described it as the most fun he's ever had playing hockey. A lot of the other guys could probably say the same. But just describe, coming out of the tunnel at the Bell Center. You mentioned the goosebumps, and I imagine there was a lot more there too.
Oh, it was just awesome. I just love the whole feeling of just the national anthem. Just like, it was like playing in Montreal with the fans behind you. They're passionate. It's not like Toronto Maple Leaf fans where they're all corporate. It's legit amazing fans. And we had a hell of a team. It was Bergevin did a great job. It was awesome. Like just like little, like we were like very tight behind the scenes too. Like it was just, you could just feel just everybody just got along so well. Like I remember, like I just gave up trying to score on Price. Like it's just, you can't score on that guy. So I didn't even bother even trying anymore in practice. But like it's funny, like we used to do the little morning skate warm up, and it was supposed to be a simple drill that the forward would come down on the defenseman, forward would dump it in, goalie would set it up behind, goalie would set it up and come back in front of the net. Well, and then the defenseman would go and pick up the puck behind the net, pass it up to the winger. The winger would go down the ice and dump it in on the other defenseman that goes back. It's supposed to be simple, right? Flow, whatever. So all of a sudden, Price decides to go, and within 3 feet of getting there, he throws it in my skates. So I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like trying to go and kick the puck up. And it's supposed to be like nice and quiet, nice and flow. So all of a sudden the coaches started hearing all this commotion. So anyways, it happened the first time. I'm like, Pricer, like, come on, really? And then all of a sudden I do it again. And all of a sudden now the coaches are starting to pay attention, and he's throwing it like in my feet. Like there's no possible way that I could ever get that. So anyways, it turned into, and all of a sudden the coaches are coming up. They're like, Mike, just pick the puck up. I'm like, Pricer's throwing it in my feet. So it turned into be a kind of a comical thing, and it wasn't fun for me. Everybody else had a fun time, but the coaches started laughing. But that's the group of guys that it was just awesome. I loved it. It was so fun every day.
Was Pricer doing that on purpose after a while? Like, was he messing with you, or what was going on?
Oh my God, for sure, totally. Oh yeah, he did it right from the beginning. Oh yeah, he's probably out of any, like, how goalies are just they're different, right?
Yep. Different breed. Yep.
He's probably the most normal goalie I've ever seen. Like he's like just down to earth. He's just like really good, amazing dude. He's one of my favorites. One of my favorite players.
So I wanted to talking about goalies and crazy goalies. Who, if you could say, who's the craziest goalie you've played with, or one with like we say they're different, but who's a goalie that was had a different personality to him?
Well, the Finnish goalies, they were like all over the place. Who was my oh my god, name just slipped my Pasi Nurminen.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Oh my god, he was Pasi Nurminen, yeah. So it was me, him and I. We were it was rookie party, and honestly this guy just drank like a fish, and he was so hammered the whole entire night. Like we were literally trying to carry him, and we finally sent him back, and we had a practice the next day, and it was in Montreal. That's where we had a rookie party. It was nuts. I still have the plate that everybody signed. I don't even know how I got that plate home in one piece, but like Posse, it's so in right in the change room, there's this drapes that close, and you just see like 5 minutes before we're heading out, we see all of a sudden you're walking. I walk to go in. When I used to have hair, I used to get it all wet. So I walk back, you see these legs that are coming outside of this drape, and it with skates on and goalie pads, just passed out on the floor. Face down, passed out, and there's no way he was going to get on the ice. But those are some of the fun memories though that just trust me, like the bondage, bonding between the players is when you get on a good team and everybody gets along with everybody, and that is the things that hurt the most when you are not a part of it anymore. And like being a part of the dressing room, being a part of I used to love blocking shots. Like Ovechkin. Oh, trust me. Oh yeah, seriously. Like no way. Like I used to hate not having a bruise on my arm. So those are missed.
That's like going to the gym and like not hurting the next morning. You're mad when you don't, right? It's a similar feeling, I guess.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I want to kind of circle back to that 2014 team, and you said that the group was really close. Do you have any other good stories from that team? Because I know you said you enjoyed Montreal the most in your whole career. Do you have any stories of any guys like PK Subban that comes to name? Because
I got a story. I got a story you can talk about. How about this, Mike?
Oh man. How was PK?
How does that feel?
Hopefully it doesn't come back. No, I'm just joking.
No.
Mixed feelings. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
we want to have him on the show, but it's been hard. So anyway.
Well, there was one thing about PK. He did his own thing. He's a great guy, but he did his own thing. I remember one time, everybody's getting ready for, I can't remember if it was practice or a game, and we're in there. Everybody is just loving this one song that's on, like loving it. It's just everybody's kind of dancing, a little singing. Everybody's kind of into it, right? And then all of a sudden, PK comes in and just changes it to a different song, and we're like, okay. That's PK. So yeah.
Fair enough. So did you guys talk about this hit after you started playing on the same team or what?
No, I didn't want to rub it in.
Well, that's okay. It's never too late.
No, it's well, how about this? We have I've hit a lot of guys, and I've got hit a lot of times too. So you have your you have when now you just have some of those things you don't really bring up. You just kind of move forward.
Right. Okay. Well, I do have to bring up one more hit because I need to thank you. And PK hit this guy as well. I think it was the hardest I've ever seen him get hit, but you had a good one on him. You might have an idea of who it is, but this is him keeled over after you nailed Brad Marchand. So I just want to thank you, Mike, personally for doing that.
Yeah, I know. I wish he wasn't kind of that. He rubs a lot of people the wrong way, and I think that's kind of his game, right? That's what gives him that edge. So I guess kudos to him, I guess. But
it works for him.
Yeah, it works for him. Yeah, he's had a long career. So
yeah, no, it does. We're having some fun because we know how he is, and he's a Boston Bruin. So I mean, he's a pest, and it works, and he's a really skilled pest. So that's the difference there.
Yeah.
But sure. There was a question we had from a Nick about the captaincy. I know that it's like you have your own life now. You're not necessarily following the NHL every single day. It was your whole life for a long time. But Brendan Gallagher for the C, I think Nick's asking, or somebody else, because you played with Gally. You did play with Brendan Gallagher in the early days there.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I look at it as like he honestly, he is obviously the heart and soul of the Montreal Canadiens, I'm going to say. Right. And you know what? This is just my opinion. He very well might, I might be wrong or what, but I see him as an A, and I don't see him as a C.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a lot of pressure that when you put that C on, especially in Montreal, and it's almost like another job on top of it that gets you kind of away from what you do best. And there's only so many certain people, like a Weber, obviously, that would be completely on him. If you're able to really put a C on somebody, Price would be able to handle it. Right? When you put that C on somebody, it's almost like it takes away from what they do best, and it's tough. I was asked about Suzuki, right? About somebody like that being kind of in there.
Can you see the question on the screen there? I don't know.
Yes, I did. I do see that. Yeah.
Okay.
He has like a calm demeanor to him. So I'm going to say that is one quality of a good captain. I was asked this before. He might be a little young. It's almost like you almost have to. It's not always your best player on the team, and obviously it's not your worst player. So it's got to be. There's a special person, and I don't necessarily know if it's either of them, but I could be wrong. So
yeah, I mean, so based on what you know about the Canadiens, I mean, now that Berge has gone out the door. He was here for a long time. He's the one who brought yourself and a lot of your other teammates in, and now it's just a completely new era. They got a new president of hockey ops. They got Kent Hughes, a player agent who's never been a GM before. So they have a whole new direction. So they really want to play offense and this and that. So do you think that changes like it's just a different locker room, right? That's what it comes down to. So do you think it's harder to decide for that reason? It's because it's a whole new regime?
Yeah. Well, you got to prove to the new regime, right? You got to prove, like, it's one thing they were probably watching the Montreal Canadiens anyways, and they know most of the guys, but I think under St. Louis, you have to go and prove to him, and he's got to also earn the players' trust too, right? There's a lot to the old school coach of coming in, yelling and screaming. You usually had the assistant coaches that helped come in and really explain what the coach really meant. There's like everybody's got to work together. It's you can't have all fighters and you can't have all goal scorers. You can't have all playmakers. It's a little bit. It's kind of finding that secret sauce, and I think that's Berge actually did a pretty good job of it. And I, maybe near the end it wasn't as much, but I'm going to say that what he did is put together that team. It's got to come from drafting, right? Drafting's got to be the big thing. And to be honest, if I was to say, you almost have to almost lose another season and be dead last, because I'm hearing that there's a pretty big franchise player that's going to be in the mix for next year's draft too. So you almost have to build it around a couple key players. Obviously with some bigger contracts with Weber and hopefully not Price, but those bigger contracts, obviously with long-term injuries, it's going to help with a lot with opening up some salary. I think that's going to be huge. I think Toronto, you got to look at Toronto as an example. If you tie too much into 4 players, that actually really goes and handcuffs you. So like even the first overall, obviously everybody at the draft was completely shocked that it wasn't our centerman. But you just have to have trust that they know what they're talking. It's a different and I do like out that completely different way of thinking. Like most GMs would have felt pressure to go that direction, and they strongly felt that this was the right direction. And it's almost like they finally have a plan instead of just throwing darts on the wall. So
yeah, it really feels like that
for sure.
And the fans, I know everybody says you got to go and have patience. You got to have patience. And for the most part, Toronto had patience, but I'm going to say if they would have followed their roadmap a little bit further, it wouldn't have included going and awarding these players. To be honest, haven't completely gone and earned all that money just yet. I think they were getting there. So there's a lot of little things you gotta have faith in the direction, and especially with St. Louis, you obviously have an amazing skilled, smart. He really thought the game, and from what I'm hearing, he's able to teach the game too. And I think the way that he's able to do things, I think is going to be obviously the GM is going to be listening to him. He's going to be a big. He's going to be getting a lot of questions here. So.
What's the best piece of advice you got about your playing style, Michael? When did you first start to realize that this is the kind of game I want to play? I mean, I know you kind of got disappointed in Pittsburgh there a little bit, but when did you first figure out, okay, this is Mike Weaver's brand of hockey? When did you figure that out? And what coach maybe mentored you along the way?
I figured it out at an early age because my curve was you could find it at Canadian Tire shovel aisle. Yes.
Nice.
They make them in plastic, metal. So it's those shovels. I'm telling you, like my curve used to be so straight that I used to tell when it was wooden sticks, I used to tell them I needed it. Don't even curve it at all. And it would come actually left-handed. It was that straight. So like literally I would step on it and I would just put a little loft in it. And I don't know. I just loved the being in a situation where you're at a disadvantage. And I loved the opportunity to go in and put you back in control. And I didn't realize this. And I think the reason why I had such a long career was because I had my hockey school, and I had to, my first year I had my hockey school, I lost money because I had 3 people that showed up. And my second year, I'm just like, what do I do best? And I'm like, I think the game. I think the game better than most people. You have to be at least 6 feet to play the game. And especially back in 2000 when I made it. So I'm like, what do I do best? I think the game. So I ended up going through a lot of the things that I do. And I just thought the game more than others. So I was able to really pull apart the things that I did well, and then I was able to teach them, and then I evolved them, and I understood that I couldn't go end to end, but I loved when the stats came out, because a lot of players didn't want the stats to come out, because all I really had to show for it was shot blocks, right? The goal scorers had the goal scorers had the goals, the playmakers had the assists, and I had shot blocking, and which, to be honest, it doesn't really pay a whole lot. So I loved when the stats started coming out, and at one point I was the top 10 in the league for the amount of time on ice per goal scored on me, and so I just came up with a lot of little things that allowed me to take back control in the game. And that's what I was doing. And instead of reading and reacting to what an opposition player was doing, I basically turned it around, that I was able to dictate and initiate. So that changed the game a lot for me, because I not only recognized what I was doing, but I was able to evolve it and take it the next step. Like, I never really, a lot of fans they'll go and watch all the players on the ice. Well, they would watch the player with the puck. I never watched the player with the puck. If I was able to figure out what the 4 other players on the opposition team were doing, I was able to tell the future. And it was not only where they were, but what their options were. So if I was able to tell the future today, I would be a billionaire, because I would know every single lottery ticket. So that's one of the things, that being able to, like Wayne Gretzky, I would never compare myself to Wayne Gretzky, but I loved when he said he was never going to where the puck was, but where the puck was going to be. That is eventually where the puck's going to be. So why not go and prepare yourself for that opportunity? Because I had to prepare myself more, because I had 6'8" guys coming down at me. So I had to be in a position that I was not standing there waiting for them to come at me at 100 miles an hour. I was actually going out towards them, and I was able to almost slow them down on the way to the net. So
I like the insight. Damon has a question. One of our other co-hosts. We're going to bring him in for a second here. So Damon, go ahead and fire away, buddy.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about circle back to the 2014 run. And of course, you mentioned about bring 7-foot guys or 6'8" guys coming out. I want to ask mainly about this incident right here involving you and Chara. And I just wonder how did you deal with it? And were you at all scared of Chara at all?
No, I actually asked him after. I'm like, how does your hand feel right now?
Yeah, didn't Gorneville break his hand or something in that playoff run or something?
Yeah, that is just after he just got me. Well, it's funny. It wasn't even me. It was.
Did you say Bourneval?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bourneval, I think, slashed him in the hand, and Don Cherry did a rant about it in Coach's Corner.
I think I remember that.
There was something before. I don't think it was Bourneval. It was. I can't remember who it was, but just before. So I ended up getting in the way, and he thought it was me. So I ended up taking the brunt of that. And then I And then not even after that, I was in the corner. I had another two guys coming at me too. Anyways, I love that. Trust me, hit me more. I work harder. It's no, I love that. I remember when Chara hit me one time, and I don't know why he was in the offensive zone. So he ended up hitting me, and you stopped the video. You couldn't see any part of me. I was actually swallowed up by his body. You could not see a skate. You couldn't see an arm or a head or anything. Like he like kind of eclipsed me. Like it's just like it's oh my god. But yeah. I went against some very tough. Oh, and my first game against Philly, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm a pretty good hitter. I could freaking go against these guys. So I'm telling you, for my first shift was about 40 seconds. It was the worst 40 seconds of my career. It was, I got destroyed like 4 times, like literally just lit up. Like there's no way. It's like Brashear on those blades. I feel so sorry for the steel. I don't know how they're able to maintain that. Oh my god! Like, yeah, they had some big boys on that team.
Donald Brashear, is that who you were talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was another monster of his time.
He was a big dude.
At that point, that was after like obviously like think Philadelphia, they're absolutely massive, but like they still had some big boys back then in 2000. Like obviously the 90s were the, what do they call them? The
Broad Street Bullies.
Yeah, like that. Like yeah,
that's the 80s.
They still had some big boys.
Yeah. No, they definitely like. I mean, the Chris Prongers of the day when Lindros was on the team, Jeremy Roenick. Trying to just go through the list of guys, but you're right. I mean, in the early 2000s, I mean, I can't even talk right now. The refs let a lot more go in the early 2000s than after the lockout, right?
Yeah, and that's one thing that was pretty cool. One thing I love that I was able to make it in the pre-lockout, which was the old school slashing, holding up, and then I was able to continue in the post-lockout that they've really you couldn't really do a whole lot. So the taller guys that couldn't really move were kind of exiting the game, and sure they still had tall guys, but they were quicker now, right? So it was a different way of playing the game, and I loved how I was able to adapt. And I'm going to say a lot of it had to do with my hockey school, having that there that got me into really thinking of different ways of doing things. So
we got a question here from another one of our co-hosts again, Anik, who does amazing work. She did this picture of you, Mike, by the way. She's our graphic designer and co-host, but she wants to know how today's reffing is for you. Do you find it as bad as we think, as from the fan perspective?
Well, you're gonna have your good refs. You're gonna have your bad refs. It's. I have been in the stands, and I'm telling you, I'm biting my tongue half the time because I'm just like, no, actually, you're wrong. No, you are able to, do this, or no, sorry. They only see what they want to see, and they a lot of times they make it up. And I'm gonna say a lot of the refs, they are nonstop. They go over video, they go over reviews. They're human. They make mistakes. So I would almost just assume, for the most part, that they are making the right decision. They're very good at their job, and especially in playoffs. Obviously, you got the refs that kind of and it's usually the same refs that they kind of have have their emotional part into it. But you got some of the most amazing refs that, they're with anything. You're gonna have your good ones, you're gonna have your bad ones. It's just understand that for the most part, they're probably gonna be making the right call.
Well, that's good of you to say that. Another question here from Josh. With the game trending toward more offensive defensemen, do you still believe that there's a place for a defenseman like yourself who put their bodies on the line for the team?
I totally do. You're not going to have all these defensemen going and racing the blue line and going in the offensive zone. Like with me, I had the shock collar, the dog shock collar. When I went across the blue line, I'm like, so yeah. So like, yeah, you need the guys that are moving the puck forward, and you need, to be honest, I would rather have a defenseman and an offensive defenseman as partners. And because you're always going to have that guy that's going to be holding back there. And yeah, once in a while, hey, I did get up in the play, but for the most part, you don't want two defensemen being there and having two forwards back. So I think, yes, I think there's always going to be that defenseman that will be more defensive, right? Because you got to think about it, right? It's either that defenseman that, like, do you guys even know what the four situations are on the ice? And it's funny. I was able to break this down with my hockey school, but what are the 4 situations?
I feel like I'm at school right now.
Oh, geez. So I'm thinking offense, defense.
Yeah.
Forechecking, backchecking.
Close. So offensively with the puck and without the puck, and then defensively with or without the puck. That's it. That's the only 4 situations. So if you think about that, it really makes things simple, right? Because so in the offensive zone, if you have the puck, you want to expand, right? When you don't have the puck, you want to contract. So when a coach says, hey, you want to be here, but also you want to be here, he wants you to be here and there at the same time based on whether you have the puck or you don't, in the offensive zone or the defensive zone. So I always like to call it a halfway rule. So instead of going 10 feet this way or 10 feet that way, I would cut it in half. I'd be going 5 feet and 5 feet, just like a goalie's glove hand, right? If he had it all the way up here, everybody would be shooting at the bottom and he'd get a lot of goals scored, right? But if he had it all the way down here, everybody would be shooting top shelf, right? So if you have in the middle, I'm able to go here and I'm able to go here. So it's I kind of take a lot of different lessons from different positions, and I kind of put it and apply it to a defensive strategy and the way that I used to think the game. But yeah, it's
definitely still a place for the type of defenseman you were, is the answer.
Yeah,
is the answer to that question.
Basically.
Somebody really wants to know what your favorite restaurant in Montreal was, if you can remember.
Oh, I was just there for the draft too.
Oh, you were?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I was just there because my coaching platform, Coach Dem, was a partner with the NHL Coaches Association.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, so we always make it there for the draft. So I can even I know the rookie party. We went to the Chevat, with that big horse that stone horse that was in front of it's right by the Bell Center. That was the old one, and then they moved it somewhere else. But yeah, I'm not the best with the restaurants.
That's quite all right. Adrian, you got another one to jump? Another question for him?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of circle back to your career. I wanted to ask, was there any times where you had to face any adversity, and you were talking about old school coaches back then with the yelling and screaming? Was there any coaches, or were there any times where you felt a little discouraged going forward? Playing on bad teams or something like that?
Well, you got to remember, though, a lot of times they're yelling. They're just emotional. So like you just got to be like, hey, that's how it is. I think most players most players understand that, and the players that really affect them, they shouldn't even be playing in the game, because it is honestly, it is one of the, it's like you're in the military and you got your sergeant going and screaming orders, and you got to go and take those, and you got to work together as a team. So, well, I got really really annoyed in Atlanta for what would have been, I was Andy Sutton. He's 6'8", right? He's my defense partner. I'm 5'9", and we were by far the best pairing. I was like player of the game, like third player of the game or second player of the game. Like maybe out of the 50 games, no, it was 40 games. I was maybe like 4 or 5 times. I'm like, me, defensive defenseman. So like we absolutely killed it. And I remember French coach came in there, Atlanta. I can't remember his name now, but he ended up coming in there, and he's just like, he ended up switching me with Garnet Exelby. Garnet Exelby came up, and I wasn't all about, hey, if I was playing bad, like for sure, well, I should not, I shouldn't be there. But I was like, Andy and myself, like we were like the best pairing, and I kind of got a little frustrated with that. That I'm like, okay, fine, I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna work my butt off and get back up. But he ended up calling me back up, and he ended up like skating me into the ground. He called me up for one game. I got 3 minutes on the ice in Calgary, and for no reason, I didn't play bad at all. And he ended up skating me the next day for like 45 minutes straight. I'm like it's like coaches like that. It's very, very annoying that all of a sudden you got some like, there's no rhyme or reason for that. I just thought it was just very, I just didn't really like that.
Bob Hartley ? From
Yes, Bob.
Oh, it was Bob
Yes.
Hartley. Oh, shoot.
Oh my God. And honestly, if he would have said textbook one more time, like, it's just like, but with his French accent on there, like, honestly, like it'd be like, and then he went to the draft, and he's just like, I just drafted, 20 feet in defenseman. That's what he said the next draft. And I'm just like, it's not about the height, but I just like, I don't know. I was just frustrated because it was just something that if I was doing something bad, I wasn't playing right, then sure. But anyways, you go through different lessons in your life, and I've learned there's a reason for everything.
Which moment or moments are you the most proud of as a hockey player, whether it led into your hockey school? But what moments come to mind that you're most proud of from your career?
That I was able to step up in that one thing in playoffs, that I was either stepping up or I was going to not step up. It was at that point in time where you're just like, all right, you've trained all your whole entire life. Are you going to be a doer? And I'm going to say every single time I was a doer. There was one, I ended up fighting Glenn Cross. Would have been in Vancouver, and the guy's pretty a little bit taller than me. And it's funny, he ended up pulling me out, and he ended up getting my jersey over top of me, and I could have went and turtled, and that's it. But I ended up saying, screw this, I have about 30 seconds to go and stand up and just be like, all right, I'm gonna probably get punched in the face, And but I'm going to be known as the guy that turtled before. So I'm just like, screw it. I'm just going to go and do it. So I ended up standing up to him, and I ended up, I'm going to say, I would say you guys could watch the video online and tell me if I won or not. But I thought I did pretty good. And Tucker, I went up against him. I thought I did pretty good. Yeah, Darcy Tucker. I thought I did very good. So, yeah, I reminded him last time, Darcy, I saw him. So,
How did he like that?
Oh, yeah, we joke about it. Oh, yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good.
That's awesome.
But those are the things that I could rest my hat on, that I was able to step up and I was able to do something. And to be honest, I'm going to say a lot of these guys, they don't prepare for after. And that's why there's a lot of guys that go through a lot of withdrawals and go through not knowing what to do after. You make a crap load of money when you're playing. And I didn't make as much as some of these other guys that are scoring goals. So, but one of the things I would say, I would say education is very, very important. I would say that I would make sure that I would have gotten into Instagram and Twitter. I would have hired somebody to go and do my social media for me. I would have got them to go and build my brand even bigger than it was. I really didn't get into Instagram until later, and Twitter, and luckily I did, because my Twitter handle went from about 2,000 while I was in Florida to within, oh my God, probably about 3 hours, I was up to like 20,000 followers, and then it made it up to 40. Like, it was just insane. Wow. And that's the amazing fans on with Montreal and supporters. And yeah, so I would say I would have built my brand a little bit more, and I would have made sure that I would have built my hockey school bigger. And even though it's pretty big, and my coaching platform, I would have made sure that I was able to make key connections. And I think the one thing I did, I was actively involved in the Players Association. I made sure that I was trying to stay relevant in the business world, and trying to pretend that I was like a business person, because that is some of the things that you can't really get in front of these amazing businesses. Like, so I was on the executive board, which two NHL guys in every team are a part of. So we made decisions for the whole entire NHLPA. So we talked to our players, and we ended up going and giving feedback of them. And I was actively involved in a lot of the stuff. So that, to me, was kind of business minded, getting involved and preparing for post career, because a lot of guys think that they're going to play forever, and they almost think that if they jinx it, they're going to go and hurt their chances at a contract next year. So you guys go and prepare for the season. Well, prepare for post career, because trust me, it's an eye opener. And I'm going to say education is absolutely huge. And yeah, so and obviously going and volunteering. I used to love going into the hospitals and giving back to the game and signing autographs for kids. And it's something that is our job. Our job is to go and give back to the fan community and making kids smile. And I think that's and fans smile. I think that's that's our job responsibility. So when I see guys that don't go and sign things for people, I think it's just wrong.
Well, it's good that people like you have that perspective. So
yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask to Mike. Obviously, your perspective on the coaching side of the game is very good. And do you see yourself coaching or working with the NHL or maybe the American Hockey League or any of the major junior leagues down the road? Do you see yourself maybe being on a coaching staff or a head coach?
Oh, so you mean going in a bus for 20 hours at a time? No,
No,
Sign me up.
no.
No.
not your
Well,
thing. No.
like maybe at some point I might consider something like that. I'm just waiting for a very good offer for somebody. So if you're listening right now, I'm open to anything. I just want to just allow life to go and be presented to me in a way. And I've been learning a lot from an amazing person in my life, and she's been really helping me get to know the person who I am, and that's I see basically just getting to know who I am and understanding that there's a path that you have to have your eyes open to let it present itself to you. So it's something that I've been actively trying to really just stop forcing my path and allow it to be presented at the right time.
Yeah, timing's everything, right? I mean, that's a huge thing, and we've had you here for an hour, so we don't want to keep you too much longer. Mike, really appreciate you taking this amount of time with us. This is a picture we pulled up from I think your Instagram as well, that you're retired, and just the support you had. But that's a pretty cool picture. Now, I didn't know who that was in the picture. Is it?
That's well, a lot of things happen in life, and that's my ex, and
okay,
we are just doing an amazing job raising two amazing kids, and it's something these things happen, and you always have to be prepared for post career, and that's one thing that a lot of pressures happen within these within the game, and it's tough on a lot of the players. And when a player gets traded going to somewhere else, there is a lot of things that behind the scenes happen for the players in order to make it happen. So obviously some players leave and not seeing their family for months at a time, and there's a lot that goes into having a player move from place to place, and it sucks, but it's something that I'm in a very, very happy place right now, and I've surrounded myself with amazing people. So
Awesome.
Here. Well, that's a great thing. Now, just before we forget, somebody did pull up this image of this fight, so I think we needed to pay homage to that picture. So thank you for pulling that up. I think it was Damon or something, but
I love it.
we tried to be prepared. Adrian, before we let Mike go here anymore, or a final question, even just before we go.
This is kind of like a funny one, I guess, but when we were talking about Tarian earlier, did you ever have any of those meetings in his room where there's just clouds of cigarette smoke everywhere, or is that because I've heard a lot of guys say that. So
well, I got a funny story at Tarian. So I think, well, this happened a lot, but one moment that I remember. So we lost in Calgary, and we were on the bus. So like everybody, we're talking all the players, we're talking all the medical staff, all the equipment managers already took off, taking the equipment to the airport. And then you got the ownership was on there, and the bus driver was sitting there, and everybody we lost. So bus is turned off, lights are turned off. We're just sitting there in darkness. Taryn comes in, puts his bag down, walks out, having a smoke right in the front of the bus. And he wasn't going to do, he was actually just, and he was like there, I swear it might have been about 10, 15 minutes.
Oh my
God.
God.
And then he came in and then sat down, and yeah, it was. It was. He always made sure he had that cigarette break, but yeah, it's. Well, do you know what? It's a lot of people complain about. A lot of people complain about why they didn't make it. I have people all the time coming up to me. Oh, I could have made it, but I'm like, well, did you make it to the NHL? And he's just like, oh, but I would have. And I'm like, okay, but did you? And they're like, no. So like, I always like to say that there are the doers and there are the wanters, and there's a lot more wanters out there, and there's very few doers. And it's not bad to be a wanter, right? But I'm going to say that I like to go and I fall asleep every single night that I am a doer, and it's something that I'm always gonna do, and I'm never gonna want. Right? You got to turn that want into a do, and that's one thing that I rest my hat on. That I stepped up to. When the bell was rung, I stepped up and I was able to contribute to some amazing experiences with fans, amazing experiences with the players, my brothers on the team that I got a lot. I think it's like $20,000-$30,000 on teeth. And it's like I got 2 slap shots, and I was able to stick my tongue out to this lip.
Ooh,
and
oh my God.
Yeah, and then this one's fake too. But you know what the best thing is, though? I don't ever have to brush my teeth again. They're all white. They stay white, awesome. And it's great. And yeah, the only thing I'm disappointed now is they're screwed in, and I used to be able to pull them out, and I used to be able to put them in my buddy's drinks at the bar, and joke. So everybody, rest assured, if I'm out with a beer with you, don't worry about it. They're screwed in now. So
awesome.
I don't think there's a better way to end the show than that, personally.
That's amazing.
So
brilliant.
That being said, that's so funny. Oh my gosh, I love.
Oh, I got a picture too. Oh yeah, it's hilarious, but I won't bring it up. I don't want that individual to know. Actually, you know what? Hey, I got one story you guys are gonna love. I'll end it with this. Okay.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
So my son went to a private school in Montreal, in Westmount. So I remember picking him up early, and all of a sudden we're walking, because he had soccer. So we're racing to soccer. So I'm walking out, and this one of the kids recognized me, turned around and recognized me. And I'm like, they're like, oh, Mike Weaver, show me your teeth. So I'm like, all right. So I pop them out. I'm like, all right, here's my teeth. And I put them back in. So not even like 2 seconds later, my son's turning around. He's like, Dad, show me your teeth. I'm like, Owen, you've already seen my teeth before. I go up. He's like, show me your teeth. So I'm like, all right. I go like this. I pull it out. And the second time I pulled it out, there was this little sore. And it all of a sudden it goes, I'm like, and it goes boom, 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 in a sewer. I'm like,
no.
Okay, so the sewer is right beside the sidewalk, right by the lights. So there's the street lights on there. And I got all these people coming out, and I'm looking down. I'm like, those are my teeth down there. I'm like, I could see them. I'm going to get them. So anyways, I go up there and I ask the principal, I'm like, hey, it's a little awkward. I'm like, I lost my teeth down a sewer out front. Do you happen to have some fishing line and a magnet? So anyway, so I'm down there, Montreal Canadian. I'm fishing for my teeth in the sewer. And I didn't realize that it wasn't real metal. It was like, titanium that doesn't get the magnet. So anyways, she ended up saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go get something else." I'm like, Owen, I could get down there. So picture this: I picked up the grate and I moved it, and I'm looking down. There was about this. It was about this size, but it was kind of offset a little bit. So there was only about this much to go in. I went down into that sewer. I grabbed my teeth, and as I was coming back up, I'm like this. So I'm 188 pounds, okay? And for 5'9", that's a lot of weight. And I'm trying to go and pull up myself like this. So it's above my head. I'm like, so it's that moment in time where I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, they're gonna be calling like the firemen to come and get me out of here. Montreal Canadiens down in the sewer. So I ended up going and pulling myself up all that weight because I just that one moment in time you're like, argh! So I pull it up as I'm getting out, my teeth fall back in.
Oh no!
Anyways, the principal comes and she has this sweeper and a broom, so she swept my teeth into it. And I got it, and then I ended up just putting them in and see that I'm just joking. No, I ended up washing it. But it's funny. Oh my God. I was just like, oh yeah. So anyways, that's my other teeth story.
Another example that you are a doer, man.
I am a doer. A lot of guys would have just said, I want my teeth back, but I did it.
And the tail, he gets to tell the tale. You earned it, man. You earned it.
That's awesome.
So, thanks.
Beautiful stuff. Well, hey, Mike, thanks a million for coming on. Like I said, as soon as Adrian was brought into the Habs Tonight team last year, he was like, guys, if we get Mike Weaver, like I mentioned, like true story. So this was a long time coming for Adrian and all of us. But yeah, thank you so much for jumping on, man.
Yeah,
awesome.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. It was nice meeting you, eh?
Oh, for sure. Nice meeting you too. Anytime, guys. All right, get me at coachdem.com.
Yeah, so go ahead. Let's tell us where you can find your hockey school, everything.
COACH, so coach, THEM.com. And then my hockey school is Defense First, so DEFENCEFIRST.com. So it's I got people coming from all over the world, and it's awesome. I love it. So defensefirst.com. I like it.
Excellent. Yeah, we try to I try to be on the flyer. Yeah, well, I'm a defenseman too. I just came from ball hockey before doing this too, and I'm not an ice hockey player. I'm not as skilled as the rest, but I'm getting there. Anyway, I'm watching my nephew. I have hope for my nephew right now. He's 10. So anyway, but once again, thank you, Mike, so much for coming on. We had a blast. I hope you did too, and we'd love to do it again.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
All right. Cheers. Thanks again.
That
was Mike Weaver, everybody. I'm going to pull up his graphic one more time because, well, for one, it's a beautiful image that we created here. So thank you, and Nick, for that. But yeah, that was it, Adrian. So your first interview, man, you crushed it. So thanks so much, dude.
Thanks again, Deeks, and the whole team for making this happen. And for the fans, I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a good show. Mike's a great guy, and he has a great perspective on the game that I think we all learned tonight. So very cool, and I definitely gained perspective on a lot of new things. So very nice.
Yeah, no, that was awesome, man. Thank you for doing this with me. And just want a couple things really quick just before we let you go. As you can see, we got the merch. You get your Slav Squad shirt on. Damon, I'm going to bring you up for a second just so we can plug this a little bit. We plug our merch store a little bit as we finish off the show. So there's that. And I got my Property of Habs Tonight shirt. So if you want to support us in that regard, go to habstonight.net, grab some merch. A lot of really cool stuff on there, especially for fall coming up. We got stuff for every season. And then again, if you did like the show tonight, make sure that you did hit the like button before you head out. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe as well. So Adrian, thanks again, dude. You rocked it, and looking forward to the season, man. We have a lot to look forward to. So
absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be a good season, Hab fans. And again, great interview tonight, guys.
You got it, man. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. As usual, we really appreciate the support. And we mentioned which buttons to push, as you know, if you want to support us, we really appreciate it. So until the next one, guys, we look forward to the season. It's coming closer and closer every single day. So stay tuned. Habs Tonight's always there with you, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.
All right, take it easy, guys. Cheers.